49ers at the Rams. 49ers favored by 8. Battle for first place here in the NFC West.
First place in the NFC West. Yeah, it's true.
Rams coming off that impressive win against the Seahawks. Controlled the game. We talked about elite Stafford. This was just out of his mind. Awesome Stafford. I mean, he looked better this week than I think at any game during the Super Bowl run. Not any game, but there was points in the Super Bowl run where he was making fourth quarter comebacks and incredible throws and everything. But like a start to finish game where Stafford did the work. On the Super Bowl run, it was a lot of Cooper Kupp doing the work. There was a lot of open throws. Remember the Bears game? Orlovsky's telling us it's Stafford's eye manipulation. It's like, no, the dude just busted the coverage for 70 yards. There was a lot of that on the Super Bowl run. But this was the Lions Stafford, who's like, there's no window there. I'm going to make one because my arm's incredible. I'm going to throw it sidearm, and I'm going to throw it 100 miles an hour and put it exactly where I want. That was this game for Stafford. Elite Stafford. And he did get the most out of Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua. I just don't know if he could do that every single week.
Yeah,
and then the Niners looked like a juggernaut going up against the Rams, who are they were impressive last week, but overmatched on paper.
Matthew Stafford is almost like the exact opposite of what we just articulated with Josh Allen, is that every now and again, instead of a disaster game where Josh Allen can't pull himself out of it, every now and again, Matthew Stafford is just feeling it so hard that he's just going to, everything he attempts turns to goal, like the Midas touch throughout the game.
Yeah.
Everything he wants to do, no looks, like ridiculous off-platform throws, fires it into windows that don't even look like they're there. Every now and again, you're going to get one of those games from Matthew Stafford, and nobody's in control of when it happens. The defense isn't, the offense isn't, Stafford isn't. Like every now and again, Stafford just goes, oh, today is it. I am cooking today, and we're going to blowtorch whatever defense we're going up against. Yeah, I mean, if the Rams ever get that version of Stafford, they're incredibly difficult to beat because that turns him into one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But who the hell knows if that's going to get repeated this week or if he just goes back to being Matthew Stafford.
That was what I told Zach when they traded for Stafford a couple years ago. I was like, figure out how to bottle up that 3 or 4 games of Stafford and make it happen every year, every week. It's a challenge, man. But yeah, the Rams defense going up against this Niners offense and everything that Kyle Shanahan does with all those healthy playmakers. We talked the other day about Brandon Ayuk being one of the best players in the NFL in week 1, and he's usually the 4th guy you mention on that offense. We might start mentioning him earlier, over Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, it's not even
over.
How scary it's just that everybody on that offense is a freak matchup problem.
And so that's gonna show itself differently every single week.
Yeah.
Right? There will be games where Christian McCaffrey has 10 catches
right.
and makes plays. There will be games where Deebo's used as a back and a receiver, and there'll be games where George Kittle goes off. So you can't judge their quality maybe by stats. There'll be games where Ayuk doesn't even have to make a catch.
I think they've
that's
already
what makes
shown,
the Niners so good.
Yeah, I think they've already shown that basically everybody you mention in that offense in terms of skill position players is top 5 at their respective positions, depending on how you articulate it. Like Deebo Samuel is in a weird spot of sort of straddle. Like he's unique. There's nobody out there like Deebo Samuel. So from that perspective, he's top 5 just as a playmaker. Everybody, like all of them. And yeah, they can't all coexist at the same time, but they don't need to because one of them is going to cook in any given day. It's just the way it works. So, as long as Brock Purdy continues doing what he's doing, that offense looks like an absolute freaking juggernaut. And it doesn't even matter if the offensive line has problems. I mean, TJ Watt annihilated Colton McKivitz week 1. And it didn't make any difference whatsoever. They still rolled. So, the 49ers defense showed that it's still legit. I mean, there was a concern, or at least I raised the point, they've now lost defense coordinators like back-to-back effectively. They've had multiple guys walk out of that building for head coaching jobs. Next man up still look pretty good. So, yeah, the 49ers look really good.
The defensive line grades for the Niners were just out of this world. 8 guys graded at 70 or better, including Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah.
Who's, not played well at all for the first 3 years of his career. He actually looked pretty good on 24 snaps. So Javon Hargrave did his thing. Nick Bosa did his thing. I mean, those guys, Drake Jackson, your guy, 3 sacks by our numbers.
The Drake Jackson development will be fascinating because he he felt like a guy that could step into that D Ford role for them. Remember when Nick Bosa was amazing and D Ford was like the designated speed rusher on the other side. The thing that Drake Jackson had coming out was the most picture-perfect speed rush bend around the edge that everybody tries to look for when they're scouting edge rushers. You know, that run the hoop, get low, speed around the corner. How far can you bend on that ankle? Like, what's your ankle flexion? All that kind of stuff. Drake Jackson had the best in that draft class. It was incredible. And even if that's all he has, those plays destroy offensive tackles. Like, so even if he only wins, 3 times in a game, those 3 plays could be 3 sacks because those are the plays that offensive tackles can't block. So if Drake Jackson has become that player for the 49ers and Nick Bosa is back in action and Javon Hargrave is doing his thing in the middle, like, dude, that's potent.
We got to go a little bit quicker, but the one last thing I just want to say, Rams' offensive line was really impressive.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to be impressive this week against the Niners.
Now let's see what it can do.
This was the exact thing that happened with Joe Noteboom in the past. He was fine against average rushers, below average, but you go up against Nick Bosa and others, and he got beat up. I mean, so that's where this entire line, I have those same types of questions for Alaric Jackson and everybody up front.
Just, again, we did this last time, but Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Coleman Shelton, Joe Noteboom, and Rob Havenstein. That was the 5 that started against Seattle, and all of them did well. That 5 on paper looks terrible. So, are they actually better than people thought they were, or is Seattle simply unable to generate any kind of pass rush? Now you have the 49ers. We could immediately be saying, oh, this changes everything.
All right, I got the Niners covering the 8 in LA. I know it's a lot, man. I know it's a lot. And we just saw the Rams, and they, like, what if we just ignored last week? Like, if you just ignored last week, you wouldn't even think twice. Of course, 8. Of course, the Niners are 8 points better than the Rams. Last week happened. It matters, but
I don't like 8.
Plus the Rams are at home.
Don't like 8. All right, I'll go with the 49ers as well. I have to buy. I buy into what they did week 1.